I decorated my dream restaurant for its grand opening, but my whole family went to my sister's promotion party instead. At midnight, Dad texted, "We need your restaurant." I sent one legal notice and every face changed. At 12:17 that night, my dad texted me, "Ava, we need your restaurant. Open the back door. Rachel's people are on the way." At that moment, I was putting out the last candle after my grand opening, straightening the white chairs, and looking at my own tired reflection in the front window. My restaurant is in Scottsdale, Arizona. It's a small corner space. Glass in front. 42 seats inside. An open kitchen, warm lights hanging over the bar, and a shelf along the wall where I had placed the ceramic bowls myself. I named it Juniper Table. The lease was in my name. The LLC was in my name. The loan was mine too, and so was the risk. I'm 34 and I worked in kitchens for 12 years to build that place. Brunch shifts. Burns on my hands and wrist. Double shifts that turn my legs numb. Catering weekends that stole whole Saturdays and Sundays. Cheap apartments with thin walls. Late rent. Months when I had to decide whether I was paying a vendor first or fixing my car. That restaurant did not appear in my life like a gift. I built it a little at a time. Quietly. Slowly. Piece by piece. On the day of the grand opening, I got there at 7 in the morning. There was still a little construction dust on the floor, so I mopped first. Then I stacked napkins under the bar, checked the pastry case, printed the reservations and set the brass scissors on the front counter for the ribbon cutting. I had made coffee at 8. By 11 it was cold, but I was still holding the same cup like it was part of the work. My parents had promised they would be the first ones there. Mom had said she would do the ribbon cutting. Dad had said he would handle parking outside. My older sister Rachel said she'd come with her husband Nate and maybe bring a few people from the office too. On the phone she had told me, "Tonight is your night, Ava." Her voice was soft. The kind of soft she used when she wanted something or when she wanted me to let my guard down and mistake her for kind. At 5:10 Mom wrote in the family group text, "Running a little behind." I sent back, "Okay." At 5:40 Rachel posted a photo. I opened it. It wasn't from my restaurant. It was from my parents' backyard. There were gold balloons everywhere. White rental chairs. A cake table. A giant sign that said, "Congrats, Rachel." My mother was standing there in a beige suit with her hand on Rachel's shoulder. Dad was by the grill. Nate had a drink in his hand. My cousins were there. My aunt was there. Everyone was there. The caption said, "Celebrating our girl." I stared at the screen for a few seconds. Then I set my phone down. Then I picked it up again. In the restaurant it was just me, my line cook Marisol, my bartender Chloe and my dishwasher Luis. 2 cars had already pulled up outside. The first guests were arriving. I walked to the door, smiled, welcomed them in, checked their reservations and seated them. I did what an owner does when she decides that even humiliation has to stay on schedule. The ribbon cutting was at 6. The ribbon was tied between the 2 front handles. I stood by the door and waited. For local bloggers had already arrived. An older couple asked, "Are we early?" I said, "No. You're right on time." Then I cut the ribbon myself. Chloe clapped. Marisol clapped too. Luis waved from the kitchen. I smiled. To anyone looking in from the outside, everything looked fine. By 7 o'clock the restaurant was half full. Nobody from my family had shown up. By 8 we were almost full. 2 women at one table ordered the hummus board. A man at the bar complimented the Meyer lemon pasta. One couple asked me, "Is this a family business?" I said, "No. It's mine." The words came out easily, but something inside me turned hard when I said them. The stories kept coming in on my phone. Rachel was cutting the cake. Dad was making a toast. Mom was filming under fairy lights. In one clip someone in the background asked, "Where's Ava?" And somebody laughed and said, "Still at her little place." Little place. Dad always used words like that. Little menu. Little food thing. Little restaurant plan. As if the size of every dream I ever had already been measured, labeled, and reduced by him before it even got a chance to stand up. I kept working. That was the easy part. Either the order is ready or it isn't. Either the bill is paid or it isn't. With customers things are clear. With family they never are. At 11 that night the last table left. Chloe was counting the cash drawer. Luis had already closed the kitchen. Marisol hugged me and said, "You did good tonight." After she left, the restaurant went quiet. I blew out the candles. I turned one of the stools upside down onto the bar. Then my phone vibrated. It was Dad. Ava, we need your restaurant. Open the back door. Rachel's people are on the way. The HOA made a complaint. We had to shut the music down. Some investors are still with us. Don't make this difficult. He didn't ask how the opening had gone. He didn't ask if I was okay. He didn't even say please. He just said they needed my place. Like I didn't matter. Like only the property did. Like I was not his daughter standing in the middle of the space she had fought for, but a locked venue with keys he assumed still belonged to him. I stood in the dining room for a while after reading that text. Every table was still in place. A small crayon a child had left behind was sitting on one chair. There were water rings under a couple of coasters. My grand opening had just ended and my own father had reduced me to an after-party option. I went into the office and sat down at the desk. I opened the drawer and pulled out the folder that held the lease papers, the insurance documents, the permits, and Melissa Grant's business card. Melissa was my attorney. She had filed the LLC and reviewed the lease. I texted her, need an immediate notice. Family trying to occupy restaurant without permission. I have screenshots. 3 minutes later she wrote back, send everything. So I did. Rachel's Instagram story, after party moving to my sister's restaurant. Mom's Facebook post, see you all at Juniper table. Dad in the group text, everyone head there. Nate, Ava will open up. They had announced it before asking. Maybe asking was never part of the plan. Maybe they had already decided I would do what I always did, which was stay quiet, make room, and clean up after whatever they wanted. While I was sending screenshots, old memories started lining up in my head so neatly it almost made me sick. At my culinary school graduation, my family had promised they would come, then skipped it because Rachel was closing on her condo and that was apparently more important. One Thanksgiving, Mom had me bake 5 pies, then spent the entire dinner telling guests how beautifully Rachel had hosted. Dad once fed my food to his golf friends and said, our older daughter is the smart one. This one cooks. Another time I did a pop-up dinner and Rachel told her office friends the menu concept had really been hers. At the time I said nothing. Every single time I told myself maybe I was overthinking it. Maybe next time would be different. Maybe this is just how families are. Maybe the decent thing was to let it go. Then on the night of my grand opening, I cut my own ribbon while all of them opened champagne in my parents' backyard. After that, nothing was unclear anymore. Melissa sent me the draft 15 minutes later. The subject line read, unauthorized use, trespass notice and cease and desist. The language was plain. I was the sole owner of Desert Juniper LLC. The restaurant, the staff, the kitchen, the liquor service, the branding, and all event access could only be used with my written authorization. Rachel Harper, Brian Harper, Karen Harper, Nathan Cole, and any of their guests were not permitted to enter the property without permission. No social media post or public statement could imply ownership or authorized use. If there was trespass, disruption, or business loss, liability would be theirs. I read the whole document once. Then I sent Melissa one word. Send. She emailed the notice to Rachel, Dad, Mom, and Nate. She copied the property manager. She copied the security company too. Then I changed the door code. I called building security. The night guard Marcus answered. I explained the situation. He said, no entry without your approval. I left a voicemail for the property manager. Then I sent Dad one line, you do not have permission to use my restaurant. Formal notice has been sent. After that, my phone kept lighting up. Dad, are you serious? Mom, don't embarrass us in front of Rachel's people. Rachel, IVP is here. Nate, stop being dramatic. I didn't answer any of them. Rachel called too. I let it ring until it stopped. Then she sent a voice note. Her breathing came through first. Then she said, for once, can you not make this about you? I saved that too. I got home at 1 in the morning. There was only sparkling water and 1 lemon in the fridge. I took my heels off by the door, wiped my makeup off with one of those cheap cleansing towelettes and sat down on the couch. I wasn't sleepy, but I wasn't crying either. I checked the lunch reservations for the next day, confirmed Marcus for the morning shift, and put my phone on silent. Sitting there in the dark, I kept thinking the same thing. The door is in my hands now. I got to the restaurant at 9 the next morning. Sunlight was coming through the front glass. I turned on the espresso machine, filled the pastry case, and wiped down the host stand. Chloe came in early. She took one look at my face and asked, "You want me by the door?" I said, "Yes." Marisol came in early too. I told the staff one thing only. If people showed up, Marcus would handle it. No arguments. No apologies. Nobody was to explain anything. At 10:55 the first SUV pulled up. Then another one. Then Dad's pickup. Then Rachel's white Range Rover. 3 more cars followed. 2 women in office clothes stepped out of a black Escalade carrying gift bags. Marcus was already standing outside the front door. He had the printed legal notice in his hand. I stood behind the host stand. Through the glass I could see everything. Mom was wearing the same beige suit she had supposedly saved for my ribbon cutting. Dad was carrying aluminum catering trays. Nate had a cooler. Rachel was in a white pantsuit, hair perfect, face composed, wearing the same expression she always wore when she walked into a room already convinced it belonged to her. Then Marcus raised a hand, stopped her, and gave her the notice. I couldn't hear what they were saying, but I didn't need to. The reaction was clear enough. Dad started explaining. Mom put on a smile that looked stiff even through the glass. Rachel read the paper. Then she looked toward one of the women from the Escalade. That woman glanced at the top of the notice, then asked Rachel something. The second woman pulled out her phone, probably texting somebody. Rachel took one moment too long to answer. That was all it took. That was the moment every face changed. Dad knocked twice on the glass with his knuckles. I walked to the door, but I left the chain latch in place. I opened it only a few inches. Dad said, "Ava, enough." I said, "There will not be a private event here." Mom cut in immediately. "People are waiting." I was waiting yesterday too. Rachel stared at me. "You sent a legal notice to your own family?" I looked right at her. "You invited people to my restaurant without my permission. You posted it on social media. You brought your office people into it. None of you came to my grand opening. Then after midnight you decided you needed my place. That isn't family. That's using me." Nate started to say something, but Marcus stepped forward one pace. Then one of the women from the Escalade asked Rachel, "Were we actually invited by the owner?" Rachel did not answer right away. The certainty dropped off her face. For the first time in her life she was not controlling the room. Dad lowered his voice and said, "You're humiliating us." I said, "I'm protecting my business." Then I closed the door. There was movement outside for a few more minutes. Mom was on the phone. Dad put the trays back into the truck. Nate dropped the cooler hard onto the pavement, then picked it back up. Rachel looked at the glass one more time. Then one by one they all got back into their cars. The office cars left too. Chloe made me an espresso. I drank it standing up. At 11:30, we opened for lunch service. Our first guest was a woman who had also been there on opening night. She smiled and said, "I came back for the pasta." I told her, "Good choice." Then the day moved forward. Over the next 2 weeks Mom left voicemails. First anger. Then tears. Then church and forgiveness. Dad sent one text, "Could have handled this privately." Rachel said I was jealous. Then she said I had ruined her promotion weekend. I didn't answer any of them. I forwarded everything to Melissa. After that things went quiet. The restaurant started finding its footing. Slowly but cleanly. The nearby offices began sending in a lunch crowd. A local food page wrote about the lemon chicken and the burnt honey carrots. Sunday brunch started drawing a line. I never put a family photo on the front shelf. People probably don't even notice. I like that they don't. Sometimes after closing I stand in the middle of the dining room for a minute. The chairs are straight. The bar is clean. The kitchen smells faintly like sanitizer. Outside the Arizona heat never fully leaves even at night. In the glass I can see my reflection. A woman in her own place under her own name. My parents are still in the same city. Rachel is too. I heard she called it a miscommunication at work. Maybe somebody believed her. Maybe they didn't. It isn't my problem anymore. I have produce orders. Reservations. And a fish delivery every morning that is always late. There is only one thing from grand opening night that I kept on purpose. In the office drawer I still have the printed legal notice. The fold line has started to fade pale where I've opened and closed it too many times. I don't keep it because I need help remembering what they did. I remember that just fine. I keep it because I want to remember something else. Closing a door is a skill too. And one night, a little after midnight, I finally learned it. If this story stayed with you, please like this video and subscribe to the channel for more real, powerful stories like this one. Your support truly means a lot and helps us keep sharing. Thank you so much for watching all the way to the end. We're glad